Hi there guys, and welcome to another little opinion piece I'm doing. I actually really enjoyed doing the last one on Smash Bros. And thought, hey, I could make this into a regular thing, because, it's just easy to talk about stuff. And so I thought, well, what's the thing that everyone's doing nowadays, and it's game reviews. Especially with the whole thing of like, well, professional game review sites they're biased and paid off, and then, but then, the YouTubers are the new reviewers and stuff, so... Yes, that's all stuff that's happening in the world. I will not have any comments on it because I am not informed enough to make a comment on it. But today we're going to be talking about a game that I've been looking forward to for a long time, and that is Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Now, the way my reviews are going to work is basically I'm just going to say right away my viewpoint on it. So if you're one of those people who just look for the score, you can get it right away. I don't use numbers because numbers are stupid. I really like this game. That's my score, if you will. So, people put like the score charts. Mine is I really liked it. That's it. That's all I'm gonna really say number-wise, if you will. But here's why. Okay, so number one, this game took forever to come out here. I'm talking like Europe got it months before us and Japan got it years before us. No idea why. Maybe it's just simply to change Luke's voice from British Luke to Ivy from Soul Calibur Luke. Look it up, it's true. But we finally have it, and is it what I expected? It's actually better. Now, I'm gonna save spoilers till the end of the video, so when I say the spoilers are coming, that's when you can shut it off if you don't want. Otherwise, it relates to the ending, which, that's all I'm gonna say. We'll save that for later. So what about the gameplay? See, it's weird. This game is like, it's called Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, but it's not really a versus. Like, there is a versus at some point, but it's hardly the main idea of the story. In fact, design-wise, and I know a lot of people ragged on this, where it's like, one chapter's literally Professor Layton in UI, in gameplay, in even how the characters sound and the menu sound. So I will say, if you are a Wright and Layton fan, you're in for such a treat, because it's so weird to have like the Layton beeping and then the Phoenix Wright beeping. Like, you'd think it's not a big thing, but it is, because you hear both. You hear, Layton characters having the same sort of emotion sounds as the Phoenix Wright ones, and you hear the Phoenix Wright ones use sort of the same just general, well, talking as the Layton ones, and it's actually amazing. But that's like, in terms of the actual gameplay, it stays in its own place. So like, the Layton stuff is Layton, and the Wright stuff is Wright, and you go back and forth between the chapters, and there's very little crossover. Like, you might have to find a sort of contradiction as Layton, and you do have some very light puzzle-solving stuff as Wright, but they never really cross over. And I know a lot of people, they took that as, oh, it's not really a crossover. But honestly, I prefer it this way. Like, the way it's presented, as a fan of both series, is just amazing to go from one to the other. Because by the time you're about done with, like, Layton, you're switching to Wright. And by the time you're done with Wright, you're switching to Layton. And it keeps you engaged. Because, like, I know whenever I play either a Wright or Layton game, there comes a point where I'm just like, okay, I'm about done here. But that never really happened, because it just, like, I'd switch over to the next one. And it was really cool, and I really enjoyed it. As for the puzzles, there's a lot less number ones this time around. Like, there was one number one that really got me. It was one where I had to place marbles around a square, but then there's a square in the middle, and, like, you had to make sure that... It was stupid. I don't like number puzzles. I'm not a number guy. So I was actually very happy that they're all very, spatial and logic, right? So you got sliding puzzles. Not too many, though. There's only a few sliding puzzles. One story mandatory one that was very much a pain. But, yeah, no, it's like, the puzzles were really well thought out. I haven't played them all. In fact, I think I've only played about half of them. I don't really do the optional puzzles until, like, I've beaten the game, because, I'm so engrossed in the story. As for the Wright trials, they're not the best in the series, but they're enjoyable nonetheless. You don't really get too many amazing Phoenix Wright breakdowns of the characters, you know. There's one that's really good. But no, most of them aren't that super breakdowny. Mostly because they're like, every character's British, and like they're calm people, as opposed to the Americans who are like crazy. Also, yeah, they really play up that Phoenix is from America, which is so weird. Cause I mean, he's not. He's Japan. I have no idea how they're gonna do the next Phoenix Wright game, which is about like feudal era Japan. It's like, I have no idea what they're gonna do. But regardless, yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. In terms of the story, I was initially very worried about the fact that they're going to some, like, you know, there's the Wright world and the Layton world, which apparently are one world, which I can see, sort of, minus time gap differences. I don't even know when Wright or Layton takes place, and Wright takes place in like 2040 or something crazy. But like, I was worried about it being like a third mystical world, but I really enjoyed the world, and the characters there, well, there's not super many, which I guess is nice, because then they each get like nice characterization. It's like, this world I really enjoyed. It's a good one. I could see them returning to it or mentioning it in later games, because it is something that's very, very interesting, and again, once we get the spoiler section, I'll tell you why. But yeah, no, so, oh, and the music, oh my god. This game has one of the best, like, orchestral soundtracks I've heard from the 3DS, because a lot of, like, on the 3DS, a lot of, like, big orchestra games, like, with games that have big orchestra music, it sounds kind of tinny. This one really uses it in such a way that it sounds perfect. So, the music in this game is amazing. There's remixes of both Wright and Layton music, including an amazing Turnabout Sisters, which is one of my favorite songs in gaming. So, yeah. No, it's like this game, out of all of the Phoenix Wright games, I'd say it's maybe my third favorite. And out of all the Layton games, I haven't played as many Layton games. I've only played, I think, 3 of them, which was Unwound Future, and then the first 2 prequel ones. I don't dare touch that last prequel one, because that's the last Layton game. I'm gonna cry like a little baby, so I'm not even touching that. In my heart, Layton is still alive. But no, I think it's a little on the shorter side, because of the fact that it's split up between the 2. It doesn't feel as big as either of them, but as a whole package, it does feel really meaty. And once you're done the game, there are some special bonus episodes, which I'll discuss in the spoiler section. So, I guess that sort of about does it for my non-spoilery review of the game. It's really, really good. If you're a fan of both, get it. Get it. You will love it. If you're a fan of one and not the other, I say if you're a fan of Phoenix Wright, then for sure get this one, because people who like Phoenix Wright, I'm sure you can get through the puzzles at least to get back to the trials. I've heard from people who are only Professor Layton fans that they hated the Phoenix Wright section because, I mean, it is longer. Like, it just feels sort of longer because you're not, you know, going around clicking everything. You're just kind of doing the stuff in the court, which is, you know, so honestly, if you think you like it, you most likely will. Okay, so let's talk about the spoilers. So, if you don't want any spoilers, stop the video now. Go out and buy the game, and then play it, and you'll love it. Here we go. So, the ending. Holy crap. I don't think a game has ever really made me, like, jump up and down in, like, holy crap, what a plot twist in a long time. For those of you who don't care about spoilers and are just listening, which I know I do that all the time, basically, there is no magic, there is no Labyrinthia. Everything is a closed government test by, and this is the weird thing, it's not just Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton, it's Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton featuring Resident Evil. Because literally, it's a company called Librellum, which when you put like backwards syllable wise, you literally get Umbrella Incorporated. It's Librellum Inc. It's Umbrella. Basically, that's really what it is. And so it's like, it turns out to be government testing from like this stuff, and there's all sorts of like actual science explanations, and it's not another world, it's actually just like a closed off government test facility. And at first, I was like, holy crap, this is the greatest twist ever. But then I started to think back, and I was like, I don't know, some of the stuff was like, oh, I don't know. But like, I think in anything involving memory altering, it's kind of dubious. And for a while I was like, I don't like this ending actually. But then I warmed back up to it, thinking about it later, and I'm like, yeah, no, that was a cool ending. So in the end, I did like the ending. I went on the Phoenix Wright subreddit, which was a terrible idea, because they hate the game there. They're like, okay, let's examine every single flaw in the plot. And it's like, what is this Shutakami garbage that they're pulling? And I'm just reading it and I'm like, guys, I enjoyed this. And it's like, I thought the ending was great. And I will say the last trial went on a bit long. That it did last a bit longer than I would have liked. You kind of arrived to conclusions already, and then you're just sort of like super reinforcing those ideas. So it's like, the last trial did take a bit longer than I would have liked. The ending, though, is admittedly perfect. No one, like, honestly, it's literally a no one has died in the course of it. It's all good. You know, that brainwashing, it's okay. Just don't drink the water for 24 hours and you'll be fine. And it is kind of like a super golden ending. There's no real goodbye between Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright. But, I guess that sort of solved a bit, because there are downloadable DLC special episodes, which I have to say, it is a fever dream, because there is, and I mean literally, zero fourth wall in them. Like, they're talking about, like, whose game is better, or like, talk about, I bet all the fans will get that reference, and they're talking like, well, you know, it took Capcom and Level 5 so much work to put this puzzle together. And I'm like, oh my god, what am I reading? And it is, admittedly, it feels almost like a behind the scenes with the actors, but it's still sort of like, and it's funny. That's the thing. It actually made me laugh out loud a few times. They're not all out yet. I think there's 6 episodes out as of recording. And, they're weird. There's a couple puzzles in there that are thrown in, and literally Professor Layton's like, the first puzzle is like, how about a puzzle that was left out of the main game? And then later on it's like, now take this puzzle that has absolutely no relevance to the situation. And it's funny. It's so fourth wall breaky. And it's a nice sort of just wrapping down conclusion. There's no real problem, no conflict, no urgency, but it's nice. You're just hanging out with Wright, Layton, Luke, and Maya, who, I guess I didn't address this earlier, but whatever. Maya's voice is weird. I don't like Maya's voice. Wright's voice I could dig, because even though it's not the same Ninja Turtle voice from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it works. But Maya's is like, not what I expected at all. She sounds way more mature, and a lot less, like, snarky. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Something just sounds a little off. But yeah, a few points in the game, I actually felt really uncomfortable. And the point was, number one, when Professor Layton was turned to gold, which I thought, okay, he's not actually dead. But as it kept going and he not appearing, I was like, okay, where is he? And I did get a bit worried. And then Maya supposedly died. And that scene was uncomfortable. And then Wright basically mourning the loss of her for an entire chapter was really uncomfortable. And then, Luke being super like, you killed the professor! You're a terrible man! You know, it's like, when he was like really antagonistic towards Wright and like actually doing stuff, again, I felt uncomfortable, and I'm very happy they went and broke new grounds with this. It's like, they didn't take the safe route of the crossover. It's like, no, they went all out, and they're like, we're gonna play with your emotions. And, I did cry, I think once or twice, which is good from a game, story-based game. So, yeah. that's about all I have to say. Again, if you are either a Wright or Layton fan, if you think you like it, you will. If you're a little on edge, you probably won't. Yeah. I want to thank you all for listening, and next time I actually have a review of another 3DS game that I just picked up. So, we'll have to see you guys next time. Thank you for listening, and if you want more opinion stuff, or if you have, like, I don't know, ideas for me to talk about, free to talk about most stuff as long as it's not super controversial, despite, starting with the whole, gaming journalism garbage. But, yeah, leave comments, likes are helpful. A lot of people don't get why people ask for likes on YouTube. Basically, there's some secret algorithm stuff that dictates likes equals putting up higher on the related videos and stuff, so it helps. And yeah, thank you all for listening to my stupid 15-minute ramble, almost 16-minute, and yeah, thanks. I've said that how many times now? Ciao.